key, a universal key to many things.
Understandable. Creative. Effective.
Interesting. Learn the Ielts Secrets with us.
Good day, dear our viewers and observant IELTS learners. The program of IELTS Secrets is again with you to give essential information about the IELTS exam. Today we have aimed to help you improve your writing skill. In order to share your key secrets of writing part of the IELTS exam, Akrombek has come to our studio. As information, he has been teaching IELTS lessons for many years in Registan Learning Center, and he have 100 students who have been taking high band score on the IELTS exam. Your teacher will share you the key secrets of achieving a high score on the IELTS exam. So dear viewers, if you want to learn more about it, please continue watching. Hello Akrombek, welcome to our studio. I'm very happy to see you here.
Good day. I'm also really happy to be here.
Thank you for your visit. Akrombek, first of all, introduce yourself and tell our viewers your IELTS history fully.
Okay, my name is Akrom. I have been learning English for the last, I think, 10 years. I've been focusing on English for the last 7 years, I guess. And since I started teaching IELTS, I've had lots of students. At Registan, I've been working for the last 2 years. And I've had many students.
It would be better if you tell your IELTS history on the IELTS journey more.
Okay. I think for the first time I took the test back in 2014 or 15, and I got overall of 5.5 band score, which was a little bit of shame for me back then, but for starters it wasn't that bad. And then I took the test again in 2021, yeah, and then I got 7.5, and then in 2022 I got an overall score of band 8.
Very good results. I congratulate you on gaining 8 band score on the IELTS exam.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask you, tell your band scores according to skills.
Okay, I had 8.5 for listening, 8.5 for reading. I had 7 for writing and 8 for speaking.
Very good results. Akrombek, in our last programs, we discussed pie charts, bar charts, and line graphs. Today, we have aimed to introduce the writing table graphs for our learners. You know, the structure of all graphs are similar, but most of students have a difficulty with grouping numbers and informations. It would be better if we explain more planning and grouping numbers firstly.
Okay. If you look at the band descriptors, and if you just look under the coherence and cohesion, it says your grouping should be logical. So the information given to you should be logically organized. So actually there is no one clear-cut way to group all the data you were given, because especially when it comes to table graphs, you usually will have lots of information. So key thing to remember is making it logical. And as long as you are keeping it logical, you are on a good way to get a high score. By logical, I mean you can have many different ways that you can be using in the exam. I personally prefer like grouping information by elements. By elements, I mean different countries or different items you are given. But sometimes you have to group the information according to the time as well, especially when your table is just like line graph. If you have got multiple dates you were given, and if you are able to draw some sort of a line graph, then you can group information according to the time. Like let's say you have got years from 2000 until 2016, you've got like all the years 2011, 12, 13, 14, so you can group the first half of the period from 2010 up until 2013 in one body, and then like the rest in the second body. Again, it depends on the information you are given and the elements. So the numbers will show you how to group usually. It's not just you knowing one method and using it. No, it's usually the information that you are given, and this is the thing that decides how to group.
I think next difficulty related to table graphs is to choose correct and necessary data, because we are given lots of data, as you have mentioned it, with table graphs, and most of students try to cover as much information as possible. Sometimes it would be incorrect. In order to write correct information, what should students pay attention to more?
So if you are given a graph that contains lots of years, and what you should be focusing on should be the beginnings and the endings. But if you have got a table graph that has only 1 year, we call this kind of graphs comparative graphs or static graphs. And then with this kind of graphs, all you need to do is basically comparing. And by comparing, I mean talking about the biggest, the smallest, or like similar graphs, like similar numbers. I mean, some numbers could be like twice as high as others, or like twice as low as others. So yeah, it's up to the graph.
In terms of table graphs language, most of students have a hesitation to use the language. I mean, most of students cannot decide whether they should use comparative language or not, because as you know, we are given some tables that describe increasing and decreasing points. It would be better if you give us lexical and grammatical tips to describe the table graphs.
Okay, first of all, like having this doubt, having this hesitation about like whether you should compare or not, is actually a little bit of like wrong. You should first of all understand the aim behind that graph, like why did they give that thing to you. If you, for example, check these questions, let me just show you. If you just check any task 1 question, you can just think about the aim, okay, like why Cambridge gave that thing to you. Let me show you with some examples here. So, for example, if you I just randomly chose this book, and if you look at the first, for example, writing question, you can see we have got a pie graph and a table. Yeah, you have got a table here. So, all you need to do is like thinking about the aim. For example, let's look at the table first, table only. So you have got some regions like North America, Europe, and Oceania, and we have got some information, and you are given some causes of land degradation. So these causes are deforestation, overcultivation, overgrazing, and total land, the amount of the percentage of the total land degraded. So why did they give this thing to you? There are lots of countries here, and there are different causes. So they gave this to you because they want you to compare different countries and different numbers. So because there are more than one country, they gave this thing to you to compare, okay? If there are some years, for example, then the aim of the graph, like the reason why they give this thing to you or why they gave these years to you, is they want you to talk about the overall trend, like did it increase or decrease generally? Yeah, as you can see, it's a pie graph, so we have got 3 different pie charts. But there are 3 different years, 1981, 1991, and 2001. So they gave these 3 different years because they want you to compare 3 different years. And these are different elements. And they also want you to compare these elements as well. So think about the aim. Why did they give this to me? If you have got different years, then talk about them. If you have different elements, like this is biggest, for example, you just compare them and write about it. So they gave you 3 different pie charts with 3 different years because they want you to compare 3 different years, and you have got these elements here which also need to be compared. And yeah, so different years they give you because they want you to compare different elements. They want you to compare. That's why they gave you. So always think about the aim. That's the key, I guess.
You mean using appropriate language for the graphs depends on the aim of this tables or line graphs, right?
I mean, like if there are many years, that means they want you to talk about the overall trend. So you should be using words like increase or decrease, or like any other synonymous language you have. If you have got like 1 year, for example, then how can you talk about increase or decrease? You just have to compare. Okay. So yeah. So thinking about the aim will give you some clues about what to write and how to think about the overall overall question. So think about the aim. Why did they give this thing to you? I think that's it. You asked about like some lexical items, so I think you need to work on comparatives and like superlative degrees. You should also know how to use some contrasting language, which also contributes to your overall score because it's there in the band descriptors. You should know how to compare and contrast data. I think most students overlook the importance of grammar, but with table graphs especially, because you are given more than one element, you need to master comparative and superlative degrees of adjectives and adverbs. Yeah.
Akrombek, I see that most of IELTS instructors can write such kind of grammatical formulas to write the table graphs or line graphs, and their students learn by heart these formulas, these kind of
templates.
sentences, and then they can write the graphs. What is your opinion on this point? Should the teachers write this kind of sentences to learn by heart or not?
I mean, if you're talking about templates, like one template for, like, for example, tables that you can always use for all table graphs, I think that is stupid because we don't know what kind of graph will be given in the exam, so we should always be ready, we should always be flexible and ready for any kind of change that may come up. So I think learning templates by heart is not a good thing. What students should focus more instead is actually learning things that you need to use, for example, a comparative superlative thing. If you know the grammar structure really well and if you are good at selecting key points, then all you need to do is just comparing and writing. So don't make the situation more difficult for yourself, okay? It's easy, and just do it. Don't make it overcomplicated.
Akrombek, I should stop you here because you can share all your secrets at that time. Now it's high time to conduct your lesson. In your lesson, you can explain to write table graphs and give more information about the key secrets of writing part of the IELTS exam. Now I gladly invite you to our smart board.
Thank you. So now let's talk about how to actually write table graphs. So here you can see the overall structure that is similar for all task 1 question types, which starts with introduction, where you basically paraphrase the question. And I think by now you know what paraphrasing means. All you have to do is changing some words and keeping the meaning of the given rubric. And then you will be writing an overview where you should identify notable features and reporting them. So overview is the most important part of your table graph, actually all of your task 1 reports, so you should be spending more time on overview. And then you will have some body paragraphs, usually 2, but sometimes you may have 1 or 3 as well. And the graph that we will be looking at today is this one. Let me read the rubric for you. Tables below give information about the world population and distribution in 1950 and 2000 with an estimate of the situation in 2050. So as you can see, it's kind of a tough graph because you have 3 different years, one of which is future, and like, yeah, the 2 other years are like in the past. So let's look at the introduction part now. So this is the rubric that I just read, and all you need to do is changing some words and keeping the meaning. You can change the grammar structures, you can change parts of speeches of the words, or you can use some synonymous language. Before we write, I want you to focus on this part. So this is your task. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So this is what we just talked about. So you don't have to write everything, you just have to select and report main features. Okay, so just main features, this is it. So here you have got 18 numbers, but you will not be writing all of them. Before I show you the introduction, I want you to pause if you can and try writing an overview by yourself, okay? Give yourself like 3 minutes and try to paraphrase this and then continue watching. If you have written your introductions, then it's time to analyze a sample introduction. Information is provided by a table which shows the total world population and its regional distribution in 1950, 2000, and projections for 2050. So as you can see, here some changes have happened. So we have kept the years because you cannot paraphrase the years. These are just numbers. So we have got completely different grammar structure. We are starting with we're using a passive voice, so it's a great thing to know. And then we have got regional distribution, which is a great word taken from the graph itself. So yeah, this is it for introduction. You can just compare yours with this one, or at least learn from it. Okay, after introduction comes overview. But before I show you the overview, again, I want you to look at the graph. As you can see, we have got 3 different years and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different regions. Plus, we have got another mini table, which is inside the table, which shows world population in billions. Pay attention. These are like percentages, and this one is an actual number in billions. Okay, so now let's talk about the overview, which is the most important part of your report. So look at the graph. As you can see, there are seven different regions and the world population, which is in numbers. These ones are in percentages. And what you need to do is analyzing the graph. So as you can see, we have Africa with 9%, and in 2050 it's going to be 20, which is actually a big change. Asia is the highest overall, as you can see, and it has got 59 in 1950 and 59% in 2050. So this is clearly the highest, so think about it. It's also an important it's also a key feature to include in your overview. We have Europe 22.7, a big decrease. Think about this. Latin Africa 6.9, North America 7.4, Oceania lower than 1 and 1. So as you can see, we have got big increases here in Africa and a big decrease, a significant decrease in Europe, and Asia is clearly the highest. You also can see Oceania, which is like the lowest. And global population, of course, 2.59, a significant increase. Put these things together and you will have a beautiful overview. I would recommend you to start your overviews with the word overall, just to signal the examiners that you are writing an overview. So make sure that you pause now and write an overview by yourselves. If you have finished writing your overviews, now let's read a sample overview. Overall, the global population increases significantly, and Asia stands out as the region with the highest population across the 100-year period, while Oceania has the least. Also, Africa is expected to see its population grow significantly, whereas Europe will see its population share fall. So, as you can see, all the details we have discussed are here, and it's clearly written. Very good overview. I hope yours ones are also just like this. If no, make sure you learn this overview and watch this lesson again and again. So after overview comes body 1. So you should write main body paragraph or like details paragraph, as some people say. And before we jump into that, actually, I want to talk about grouping. So we have got I would say two tables here. They look like one table, but actually, as you can see, we have got this world population, and then these regions, it's in numbers, and they are in percentages. So this is the first mini table. This is the second mini table inside this one big table. So grouping can be done in many different ways, as we've just talked. But now we have got clear two tables. Like this is table 1, this is table 2. Let's write mini table 1, mini table 2. So a clever and logical way to group this would be, for example, talking about this one in body 1 and these ones in body 2. Again, this is a little bit of a different table, maybe a little bit of challenging for some of you, but this is the best way to do it. So body 1 is going to be about world population, and of course it's going to be smaller than the second body. Make sure you describe this 3 numbers, and then you will have your body 1. If you can, try to paraphrase this these world population billions. This will help you get a higher score for lexical resource criterion. So in 1950, the world population stood at 2.5 billion inhabitants. So that's the thing that I've just told. By 2000, this figure had more than doubled to 6 billion. So we have got this number. This increasing trend is set to continue, and by 2050 the global population is estimated to reach 9 billion people. So we have got 3 numbers explained, reported here, and this is a beautiful paragraph describing world population, or the first mini table. Some useful language here. So you can use present simple to talk about the overall thing. So whenever you have got past, present, and future, to talk about the overall change, you can use present simple. So keep this in mind. You can also use this phrase is set to plus verb when you want to describe a change that's going to happen in the future. And inhabitants basically means like people or like population. We have got past perfect here by this, and then like had verb 3. Great thing to add. And yeah, good job. So this is it. So okay, I hope you kind of paused and like wrote by yourself. So do that all the time. Okay, now let's move on to body 2, where we will actually report all other regions. So body 2. Now we'll talk about these different regions, and you can separately talk about Africa and Oceania, which are like the highest and the which have got highest and the lowest figures. So we have got Asia here, and yeah, this is the first figure for Asia. This is the figure for 2000, and this is the figure for 2050. And here you can see Oceania at the end, and in the middle you can see Africa, which kind of increased, and Europe, which kind of decreased, so just 9 from 20, and then like North America, and then Latin America's figures. So we only have like small changes, so mostly what you should be focusing on is like the beginning and the ending. So because it's just like line graph, the beginning and endings are more important. After you have finished writing, do compare to this model answer, learn the useful chunks of language, learn how these phrases were paraphrased, like Asia was home, like Asia had this amount of this number of people, so make sure you learn this. This is the body 2 and the last paragraph of the whole table. Now let me show you a different table, which has more years and which is more like a line graph. Okay, we kind of discussed that, so let me just clarify those things. So we have got four regions, and this is like a worldwide figure, and we have got 5 years. We kind of discussed overviews, and then like as you can see, there are some questions that you should be asking yourselves when you're writing overview, especially if you have got a lot of years. So is it showing change over time, or is it dynamic? It's showing over time, so you should be talking about increase or decreases. Okay, overall, is it like decrease or increase? You can talk about every single region here, and you can also see the question that says like highest at the beginning and like highest at the end, because it's like line graph. Again, you were talking about the highest points at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so beginning at the end, keep this in mind. And then you can say overall figures, overall increase or decrease for each region. So what I wanted to focus on basically was beginnings and endings are more important if you have got tables that has got more than like 2 or 3 years. And what you will be writing in your bodies will of course depend on your overview and like your analyzing while you are like writing overview. So in most cases you don't have to write about these things, okay? You will be mostly focusing on these numbers and then these numbers, at least imply these numbers, but these usually can be overlooked. As long as you are writing about this and this, you should be fine. But of course, if there is some sort of interesting information here, you can also include that one as well. But keep this in mind, beginning and the end. So these details are more important if you're writing table with lots of dates, because there is too much information, and you should be able to pick the key features, and key features are usually the ones that are given at the beginning and at the end. These were all I wanted to show you actually. If you have got any kind of questions, leave them in the comments, we'll be answering them. So next time when you are given a table and if it has got lots of years, focus more on the years that are at the beginning and at the end. If there is some sort of interesting information in the middle, make sure you include these ones as well. Learn and analyze the sample answers, sample body paragraphs and introduction overviews I just showed you. And thank you for your attention.
Dear learners, now we have watched the video lesson together. If you could get some essential information from this video, we have achieved our goals. In our next program, we will share you the key secrets of speaking part of the IELTS exam. Now we have to say goodbye. Continue learning English and preparing for the IELTS exam with us. Take care of yourself. See you our next program. Bye!
Key, a universal key to many.
Understandable. Creative. Effective.
Interesting. Learn the Ielts secrets with us.